One of the other issues that you mentioned just now is justice for killings. What do you think about the death penalty given to Sheikh Hasina? What do you think of the process? Do you think it will bring about a closure to the victims of the violence, or do you think it will open up new grievances? What is your opinion on that?
Well, we have to really go back in time to July 2024 and look at the way the killings were taking place. There is, of course, dispute from the side of Army League because they allege that some of the killings were committed by the opponents, that is, by Jamaat Islami and others. They wanted to defame the government forces for carrying out extrajudicial killings, etc. But then there's the number of killings in those days. For example, when the internet, will very well remember,
Mhm.
internet was shut down repeatedly in the second fortnight of July. And there were killings like, 90 deaths a day and 100 deaths a day happening on 18th, 19th, and 21st July of 2024. So these require very serious investigation. Number one. I'm not going to get into whether the death sentence was legit or not, because I think that is to be evaluated by a thorough judicial, through a proper legal process. What appears to me at the moment is that this particular legal process, which was, of course, carried out through the International Crimes Tribunal, was done in a hurry, and the whole internal political process of Bangladesh casts a greater shadow on that particular uh, process of investigation and the justice that was carried out by International Crimes Tribunal, because the number of deaths that we are talking about is basically in the range of 1400 to 1600s that the opposition is accusing the government forces of carrying out. After the fall of Sheikh Hasina government, there were an unknown number of deaths of policemen that took place. And these deaths also need to be accounted for because the interim government said there were around 44 or 48 policemen who were killed. But then the government sources who are sympathetic to the police also say that these deaths were also in hundreds of policemen who were lynched by mobs and who were killed in that revenge attack which took place after Sheikh Hasina left. So I think we really have to look for a more thorough investigation, and only then we would know whether this particular judgment given to Sheikh Hasina was the right judgment that one would expect, and one would say that is logical as far as the killings are concerned. I mean, in India, of course, we talk a great deal about the fall of the government of Sheikh Hasina. But then inside Bangladesh, there is a lot of talk about justice for these deaths because, these are their relatives, these are their children who have been shot to death. So there is also public clamor, public demand for justice, and that also has to be taken into account. That whether we like a death sentence or criticize a death sentence is one matter, but then on the ground there is a strong, urging that these deaths need to be met with justice because these
Mhm.
are precious human lives, and most of them are very, very young people. So the United
Mhm.
Nations investigation came out with a report, and it said around more than 1,400 people were shot dead. So you compare it with, in fact, these days I've been comparing these two because Nepal also had an uprising, but
Mhm.
Nepal's uprising had almost like 40 to 50 deaths with hundreds of injured. But then in case of Bangladesh, there were reportedly 12,000 injuries. So yeah, so you can look at it. It's almost like a very savage, clash. So it is not just a very intense fight that took place during those 2 weeks of confrontation, and mostly in the urban centers of Bangladesh. So I think we have to also, because it's part of the public demand, and their grievance has to be understood, that why do people feel so strongly, because such a large number of people have died